What's up, people? What's up, people? What is up, people? It is your boy, MM2K, back again with another episode of Stadia Live Session. It is effective for October 26th, 2020. That is the day that we are recording this, man. And you know what? I deeply apologize. I was having some technical difficulties, but there's something else funny happened on the background too. so like I tell you guys, and this is real relevant to what we're about to talk to today. But as I've been trying to make people understand, because we're coming to the apex of where the differences within the Stadia community are starting to gel and really like get rock solid. And that's okay. That's fine. That's through the natural progression of any community. It's fine. Not a problem. But we're going to talk about it. When you go through those natural progressions, the stark differences in the certain mind states, start to become prevalent again, which is fine. But again, I've had to remind people that I didn't just start doing this yesterday, that I have been doing this for a while. Does that make me the all-seeing eye? No, but basically the purpose of this channel is taking what I've learned, a lot of the crucial lessons that I've learned over the last 3 years doing general gaming, and applying that to what I'm seeing here with Stadia when it does apply. You know what I mean? And trying to help gamers that may be interested in this platform, that may have been misinformed about this platform or still like this platform, to see what's going on right now, catch up on news that they may not be aware of, catch up on important current events, and then also see what's on the plateau, what's feasibly on the plateau. You know what I mean? And we do this because there's a lot of stuff out on the periphery. There's a lot of noise out there about what this product is, isn't, or should be. And I feel it's important for people to make the right decisions, to have the uncut raw version of what it is on the table, and then let people move from there. You know what I mean? So we do it like a recipe here. We do it like like we're treating a sickness, that's why we call it Stadia Dosage, and that's why the moniker for all of my YouTube content is like the medicine, the dosage, because there is a sickness out here where people follow herds, or people might have agendas, and they'll caveat facts. They won't put everything out on the table. And what we like to do here is we like to put everything out there, and then pivot off of that with our opinion. We always put the facts out there, good or bad, out there first, and then pivot from that. And sometimes when we're anxious to prove a point, sometimes we get ahead of ourselves, and we make mistakes. And if we make too many of them mistakes, it's it's okay if you make them occasionally, but if there starts to be a pattern that forms to where you're calling stuff out and it don't exist, then, that's not like a good mentor said to me a while ago, that's a reflection on you, and there's no way, no ifs, ands, buts about it. Nice person or not. That's why we always got to temper ourselves and temper, what we put out there. And this morning was a prime example of that, where I goofed up, right? My brother J Dub, who I talked about in my last stream, he the ultimate troll. He said, MM2K, you gotta get this work. I'm gonna throw you under the bus, and rightfully so. You know what I'm saying? It is what it is. I just got to take it with a grain of salt, lie about it, and say that wasn't me, saying that he photoshopped it or whatever. But right before the show, they had to mention that Destruction All Stars was going to PS Plus, and it was going to be there for the first 2 months, to pushing it back to February. And me prepping for the show and not paying full attention, I took that as in PlayStation Now. You know what I mean? And I was like, oh, they're putting it in PlayStation Now. And I was just rapping to Dosage about something that he tagged me and Chase in earlier about something Daniel Ahmad said. And I was like, see, Zogic is what I was talking about earlier. And I jumped ahead of myself. Well, no, I tried to safeguard myself. And I said, if I'm reading this right, because even in my jumping ahead, I knew that because of me reading this in the middle of me doing 18 other things, that I may have misinterpreted something. I know my faults and so forth. And that's why I always tell people to be self-aware. So I knew I wasn't locked and loaded with my spectacles on, reading it, taking my good old slow time to, reread sentences. That's what I normally do. And because I didn't do that, I said, hey, look, if I'm reading this right, it's X, Y, Z. You know what I'm saying? So I got that byline in there for protection, but still, knowing my brother J Dubs, he gonna run with it. And that's what happens, man. And it's all in fun and games. Some people take it personally, take it to heart or whatever. It's just crap talking or whatever. I don't take it to heart. We defer from a lot of that here on this channel. Oh, crap. What the hell? Okay. We defer from that a lot on this channel. And what we try to do is we try to, again, just go with the straight cut, uncut, raw material right there and let y'all build it from there. Okay. So that's a perfect segue into what I'm going to talk about right now. But I want to give a shout out to the chat because, y'all are the best chat out there in the world. We got the homie Zogic. We got Will Said. We got the homie Squid. And Umar, he said, yes, Ray Sherrod Zogic is a troll. No, he ain't, man. No, he ain't. Ray Sherrod, Charles Rand in the house. Who else we got in here? We got Michael Soto. And we got Gamer Boy 2005. Hey, shout out to you, Gamer Boy. I saw you up in the Triple B show the other day. Yesterday, as a matter of fact. We was cutting up in that puppy, wasn't we, man? Glad to see you. I meant to call you out, but I was in the middle of doing something. I'm in the homie Christopher Torres had an excellent phone call this weekend, man. It softened my heart, man. Almost brought me to tears like a Hallmark card. Shout out to him. Hold on, where my drink at? I'm thirsty in the mug. Give me 1 second, y'all. We about to get this rocking and rolling. Hold on. Oh, give me 1 second. Hold on, give me one moment. You know what? This is what I'm gonna do. I'm not gonna go all the way down there and get that drink. It's downstairs. I had to throw my cat out the room. Not literally. Come on, don't call Peter. I had to throw my cat. My cat is a cat. Her breed, I forgot the name of the damn breed, but she is ultra protective. And I was reading up on her breed, and what they do is they think they own you. Even though I'm 99 times her size, this breed of cat thinks they own you. And so when she rubs on you and all this other stuff, when you see your cat rubbing on you and doing all this stuff, it's to rub her scent on you and let her know, I validate you. Not just, oh, I love you. I validate you. You have been validated to enter into this house. Yeah. You pay the bills. Yeah. You clean it up. Yeah. You just did it. But this is my territory and I validate you. Come on in. And me as someone that she validates. See, my cat, when we first brought her home, she was scared of everybody in the house. Because we didn't, we got her off of somebody that couldn't have them anymore. They were allergic to this breed of cat, where I'm normally allergic to cats, but I'm not allergic to her. So we brought her in the house and she hid from us for like 3 days. And my wife was nervous because she was hissing at us when we first brought her. I said, man, she's scared. Just let her be. So I was bringing her food. I was calling out to her. She was under our bed for like 3 days. I was calling out to her, brought the litter up there. I said, please don't leave any pellets under my bed. So I won't play that. That's her clawing at my door right now trying to get in. Oh my goodness, she done opened the door. Hey, Roxy, don't cut up. This cat is crazy. So what she does is, here she comes. I don't know how she opened that door. There she goes. Yeah, I know. I'm talking about you live on air. So anyway, I was the only one that would like extended myself out to her routinely. Everybody else in the house was afraid of her because she was just hissing at them. So now I'm like the main validatee. So wherever I go, it's not like it's a master pet type of relationship. That's what I didn't understand at first. It's like she's protective over me now. And everywhere I go in this house, she follows me. And she has to get to me to check on me. I didn't understand what was going on, but that's what she does. And when I come in the house, I couldn't understand why she did this at first, but she walks in front of me. Like, I'm like, get out of the way. I'm going to step on you. She walks and she stretches in front of me because she's guarding me. I in all my years of having multiple cats and all that other stuff, I never knew that. But this cat, but you're going to hear her. She wanted to get in here because she opened the door. So if you hear some purring in the back, my deepest apologies. I tried to throw her out, but it didn't work. This cat is determined. Oh, man. So with that said, all the cat talk over. Let's get into the nitty gritty, y'all, because we got a lot of stuff to talk about. And the reason why I wanted to start off on that cat story, well, let me do this. Instead of y'all just seeing this big old avatar here, let me put the gameplay up here. Let me put a gameplay up here. That's me playing some Immortals Phoenix Rising. Storm will be proud I said that correctly. Some Immortals Phoenix Rising. What I also want to do is I really want to talk about some of these some Twitter things that I saw from some well-known people that really disappointed me. But first and foremost, I want to talk about what happened over the course of the weekend, what happened with Stadia, what happened on Twitter, what even happened on SML podcast, and where we're at now. How we want to we want to do a restart. We want to clean the whiteboard off and start off fresh. Y'all, is that okay with you, Roxy? You okay with that? Okay. See, she left. She just wanted to check on me. So I never knew that about this cat that is the size of my foot. Literally, I wear a size 13 shoe. That's all I can tell you. Anyway, all right. So this weekend we had the Good Stuff event, right? And Charles Arad said, yeah, you see, yep. See, success mimics success. Yeah, Stadia cats, as Bill and Lloyd say. Success mimics success. So this past week, we had the Good Stuff campaign. The campaign, to me, I had talked to the homie Swedish Gaming Dad. Shout out to him, man. Big time. He's been a long time supporter. We haven't always agreed, but that's fine. His interaction in the community, I think, is fine. Me and him have had some, I don't want to say contentious, but, little jagged conversations where we were like, throwing barbs out there. It was really my fault. But I was just in the mood where I was dealing with some trolls, and he just happened to catch some crossfire, but he took it all in stride. Big time supporter, love the guy. He asked me what did I think about it. I wanted to touch on it this last live session, but couldn't because of the timing that we had. We got a lot more time, so we can do it. But I want to talk about the show in a little bit. But what I want to talk about are these like explosive events that happen surround the show, even including this one of our podcasts. Now, so the show happened. There was discussion throughout the community on what the show was targeted for, who it was targeted for, how it landed, if they should have did the lead up this way, blase, blah, all that stuff. And I think general consensus is, and we're not about general consensus, but but it's important to point this out because if you would have heard what people were saying while this was happening, opposed to what the consensus is now, this again will formulate the point that I've been trying to make. We got to take some deep breaths, count to 5 before we vocalize in absolutes. That's what's going to get us in trouble. So, but I think at the end of the day, I think the general consensus is that, okay, if you this showcase wasn't for us, but if you know it's not for us, when you send out a communication that's blanket and you know that we've been your most vocal, meaning the hardcore have been your most vocal, whether we're the largest wing, but we've been your most vocal wing as far as seeing content that will put us at ease, that when you put out a blanket statement of like, hey, look, guys, we know that you guys are thirsty. You've been waiting. We can now start talking. Hip, hip, hooray. When you start putting something like that out, even if the entire event isn't for us, even if the majority of the event isn't for us, something got to be for us. An opposite of the Phoenix or Mortals Phoenix Rising demo that we saw, which you could arguably say wasn't necessarily for the hardcore. It was just another game that was put out there. It has mass appeal. The game has mass appeal. Anybody can pick up and play this game and enjoy it. But it was embedded in the hardcore sentiment because it's an Ubisoft game, and the hardcore wing of the Stadia community, all in all, pretty much loves Ubisoft, right? What the heck? How the hell did this happen? Oh no, this is wrong. Now we gotta get this out of here. Okay, we'll work on that. I don't know. I said I saw the PlayStation logo. I said, who the hell is this? All right, so we got we got that demo. There's another demo too. I don't know why it's not showing the other demo. Okay, let's play this. Sorry about that, y'all. My bad. My bad. So anyway, yeah, so there were us that were like, hold on, what about us? And I think the general consensus was, even though this wasn't for us, even though in hindsight we understand why this wasn't for us, you can't forget about us. Or you can't, or those that follow this community that aren't part of the us, meaning the hardcore wing that want that hardcore AAA content, you can't speak past us. You can't. And that's a message for everybody. That's a message that Xbox had a problem with that. PlayStation has had issues, even though they're the masters of the hardcore community. You know what I mean? We had the homie Noah on SML, and he's an Xbox guy, true and through. And he even admitted that, hey, the masters are PlayStation. And even they have had hiccups. But what was learned from them hiccups is you got to set expectations. Even if you want the hardcore there, we'll be more than glad to be there, in large part, if you're transparent enough with us to let us know whether the present is for us or if it's something that you want us to deliver. We're the hardcore. We'll go out on a limb for you. And you made it seem like the event was for us when it wasn't. You made it seem like that the presents were for us, not something that you wanted us to deliver. Because I think the majority of us get it, that if you want us to deliver something, that's fine, because we need the casuals. We're more embedded in the culture. We kind of understand a little bit better how this works. I know there's sectors that don't. We talked about that last week, but they'll get there. They'll get here eventually. You know what I'm saying? We're going to keep working with them. But for the majority of us that understand, we understand that the casuals subsidize our hardcore content. So we understand the value in it. And us playing the, delivery sometimes, right? But you got to be transparent. You got to understand if we're the delivery mechanism or if we're to open this gift, that this gift is for us. And Stadia was not clear about that. And that's what caused the initial grumblings at day one. And honestly, those initial grumblings, even though I don't think that it hampered the entire showcase, the showcase didn't launch pad the way that it could have. I'm not saying that it launched pad bad. We got evidence to the contrary that I've even pointed to. But me, as someone with my 23 plus year in the Fortune 500, 23 plus years in the Fortune 500 world, You squeeze every single juice out that lemon, especially when you have a campaign. We leave nothing on the table. And I also get it, that which was self-evident from how they did this event, Stadia wasn't expecting to have 5 million people sign up today. This is a reversal of any potential mind share that might be outside of the 5% where the connotation might be negative or people just don't know about the platform. I still believe that 95% of the listening public, well, not I believe, it's the fact 95% don't even know what the hell a Stadia is. If you don't believe me, go to 10 of your friends that are casual gamers, and ask them, do you know what a Stadia is? And just conduct the math yourself. And you'll find out that 95% of them don't even know what this is. So this was their way of introducing themselves to more people and maybe turning some negative mind share into positive mind share. And I think that they could have, it's always more effective the moment in the ambiance of when the event is happening. It's great that after the event, it's getting even bigger. You want it to have legs, but in the core, in the ambiance of the event, ain't nothing better to get that hype level up to 1,000. And those original days, even though there was a lot of hype, I want to say that the hype level at first didn't even reach the levels that Connect did. That one Connect that we all thought was horrible, and it ended up handling well for the platform. That launched better than this event. And I think a lot of that was because there was too many grumblings. It got muffled with the grumblings in the community. Therefore, the hardcore weren't shooting this thing out, because we can be great delivery people for this. Even though this was the Connect, the recipients were casuals and PC gamers and gamers that are not on the platform. This was an olive branch to them. We, your hardcore, are the greatest delivery. The hardcore of any community is the greatest delivery people out there. I know that for a fact because, again, when it comes to negative mind share, the hardcore are the ones that originate the headlines. We're the ones that IGN and GameSpot go to get them infamous tweets. You know, these are the people I'm in the DMs with. So I thought that it could have landed better from the start, but man, oh man, oh man. Muhammad Ali, that event is starting to really propel. We see a lot of streamers streaming it, big time streamers. I'm looking at the tracking of news articles. You're seeing a lot more articles talking about it. And here's the funny thing though, y'all. The thing that the articles are starting to say, they can't give it up yet. They can't give it up. They can't do it yet. They can't get into full Red Hot Chili Peppers mode yet. You know what I'm saying, Ray? Out there in the Bay, they can't do it yet. You know why they can't do it? Because why do I say that, y'all? Because they're still saying stuff like, well, Stadia has its problems, but what this does, you know what I'm saying? They sound like Hustle Man Alpha Martin. You know what I'm saying? Like, Stadia still has its problems, you know, but you know, it's good for demos. You know what I'm saying? That's what Stadia's gonna be about, is demos. How the hell do you make a market out of demos? Like, stop it. But what it does show is it shows an intricate part of Stadia that can be done well and done better than its competitors, which is the demos. But they still can't give it up. They still can't give it up. They still can't say, oh, look, we were wrong. And it's going to take some time. And to be honest with you, Stadia is not ready yet for them to full carte blanche go, you know what? We were wrong. Everybody pick up Stadia ASAP. If they do that, I think the infrastructure would collapse. I think this was a sign of it. Why do I say that? Because they took 3 demos, of reasonably popular games, not the most popular game. This isn't Call of Duty, but these are some games that a lot of people will want to play. But they took those 3 demos and had to spread them over 3 days. And for all intents and purposes, now again, this is me guessing here, but I think this is an educated guess. They did that to balance infrastructure. But they don't do that for Xbox or PlayStation. Whenever you get, there's dozens, if not hundreds of demos on Xbox and PlayStation. They just go, here they go, and the demos are out there forever. Right? Why would, if that's the case, and cloud gaming is so much less friction and got all this stuff that it can do, why wouldn't you just have the demos, put them out there day one, and have full-fledged events after each one? After the first day, why wouldn't you just put them all out there and put them out there for 10 days? Give people enough to, because this was a test of the infrastructure. This is still the building phase. This is the time that Jack Buser told you about, to where they're building a platform where not all, because I think the majority of people that are negative on this platform have not I think I know. We all know that they are negative on the platform. They haven't even touched it. But Jack Buser suspected that there would be those that did touch the platform that maybe reasonably and legitimately didn't have a great experience, or didn't have an experience compelling enough to pull them away from what they're currently doing, or at least just make this part of the ecosystems that they try. And they'd be like, it's cool, it's all right, but nah, not for me. And they walk away. And they knew that. And they said, but years later, that same person will come back and they'll be totally amazed at what Stadia offers. And what you're seeing, folks, is the beginning. Regardless, and don't let this fool you, because I'm running this from a PC that for some reason or my laptop is having performance issues. That's why it looks so crappy. I should, but I got enough. I want to share dual screens with you. So I play some trickery to get this to play, but it ain't working right. The trick is on me. But the people that have actually watched this gameplay and played it live, it is the smoothest experience on Stadia to date. I was so shocked. And that's why it's locked at 30 frames per second. That's why there's not a 60 frames per second mode, I believe, because they wanted performance. They didn't want anybody running into any frame skips or any of that stuff. Hence why they did it. And it's going over well for those that are interacting with it. But again, back to the question that I originally asked. Why not just put all these demos out there at the same time like everybody else? If Stadia is really looking to compete with everybody else, as some think it should be. If they were ready, they would have just dropped all these demos out there. Why not? Because they're not ready. Simply put, they're not ready. And they knew that. I repeat it because you can't get past it. That's unprecedented unless it is being fully transparent and so true. To have your head of gaming tell you in an article before the daggone thing even launches that you're going to pick this thing up at first, and there is a possibility you may not be amazed or not even like it. And you're going to put the joystick down. Fine. But here's what is going to happen. Things are going to change. Change going to come. And you're going to pick that joystick back up at some point in time, and you ain't going to be able to put it down. So with that said, that means that they know they got some serious stuff coming, and this is just the beginning throes. So I said all that to say this, is that I would have liked to see it launch a little bit better at its launch, but it's okay. It's now getting legs now, and people are starting to open their eyes. Even the homie Noah, who got this experience now, he got a palate cleanser. All that negative connotation that he had, he's down with it. But He's still got his eyes on the Xbox and the PlayStation at launch, and that's okay. But at least when Stadia starts coming day and date with that same content, now it's etched in the back of his mind. Oh man, well, this is what I did experience something great with that. Oh man, and now he's a little bit more receptive to it, and that is where I think you're seeing the biggest success from this weekend. You know, so those are my thoughts. Again, just with my 23 plus year experience, when it comes to this marketing stuff, I don't play no games. Exactly. And Dosage said, remember, they are in the valley. Watch that Dice 2020. There's reasons why when people like Dosage, Random Noob, Storm, or whoever it may be, the homie Trisurrector, whoever, you know, the people with the technical knowledge, my homie Plerosi. Yeah, I'm calling you out, brother. I know you watching this. You better make yourself seen, man. You're too smart to be in the shadows. But that's why when people like that speak up, and then I know personally, I called him. Like I said, Zajic, bruh, you got to call in the SML. You got to spit this math on SML for the public to hear. This cannot go unnoticed. When he was talking about the Kronos Group doing the interview with I forgot I forgot what the guy's name was, but he's a big tech person, big tech content creator. I said, Zajic, you can't just send us in a tweet. We got to educate the world, baby. And Zajic came on and explained it very well. He did a fantastic job. Shoot, I'm about to tell Storm we're gonna have Zajic corner on SML. With that being said, yeah, it's about educating the people with data, with facts, not overshooting the moon, and letting people know what they can expect. So, Casual Gamer Corner in the house. What's going on, my good friend? Glad to see you here. That's cool. Hey, Ray, don't feel bad. My youngest son is a Stadia hater too, but then when he can't get his dedicated devices to work, guess what he's on? He's just trying to follow his friends. Don't even sweat it. Don't even sweat it. That's just that peer pressure. He done spent money. He done cut. Dad, what should I get? The Xbox Series X or the Series S? I said, what you got money for? Neither. I said, well, then you got your answer. What's that? Stadia. I'm not buying you no $500 console for you to sit there and want to talk to me for hours upon end about how it disappoints you. I would take that console and break it over your neck. Child services, please. I'm just joking. But that's what my son does. He lets his friends convince him into a move that he's smarter than. You know what, Dad? Cloud gaming is the ticket, the way to go, and this, that, and he'll sit there and tell me something that I've already told him, like he came up with it. And then I'll go spend several $100s on him because he flips his opinion. Dad, you know what? Now that I thought about it, I want that Xbox Series X. And then I go spend $500 on it, and then 2 months later, how come I don't see you online, son? Well, I thought about it. Then it's kind of like what I told you several months ago. Cloud gaming is the ticket. And I got to take that Series X and bust it over his head chops. So, yeah, it's just peer pressure, man. Don't feel bad, Ray. Oh, here we go with this dude again, man. But y'all, if y'all don't stop, let me see if I can do this for a second. Let me do this for a moment here. All right, let me just go singular for. Oh, whoa! I didn't want to do that. Let me see. Can I do this for a second? Because for some reason, it won't let me go to the other videos. Oh yeah, and also you're seeing this off of Stadia Dosage streams. We only got 3 followers now, so if you want to see the rest of our content, do me a huge favor. Because all my game streams now for Stadia, and we're going to start them tomorrow. I already made out the schedule and everything. But all of my game streams from now on Stadia, on YouTube, are going to go there. Ray Sherrod said, Dad, I want an Xbox. I'm gonna give your son my son's voice too. Dad, I want an Xbox Series X. Well, I want Scarlett Johansson, so we all can't get what we want. Exactly. It's just peer pressure. My son went into a 45-minute rant one time. We were at the zoo about how his friends were idiots and dummies because he couldn't get them on Stadia. He got one friend to play Ghost Recon Breakpoint to come on, and they were all idiots and dummies. 3 months later, he wanted one of my Xboxes. So I gave him one of my Xboxes. 2 months later after that, he had the audacity to take my Xbox and sell it to his older brother. This dude is crazy. He sold my Xbox to his older brother for some cash, and then came back and told me, because he plays on so much stuff, and I didn't even notice it was gone because I don't even play on Xbox anymore. So the other kids came to the house, and it was like, yo, Pop, what's the Xbox? And then here comes my son. Oh, I sold it to so-and-so. I'm like, this dude is crazy. Yeah, I ain't got time for it, man. Those is kids, though. You got to love them. You got to love them. With that being said, let's do it like this. So that was the events of this weekend. Now, we had a situation on SML Podcast where I was a little flabbergasted, but I don't want to discourage anybody from calling in or in the chat from speaking their truth, just as long as you don't try to start stuff, right? And it was on a borderline, but you were giving your opinions about somebody that was making a phone call, which I'm going to be honest with you, I thought was a little tasteless the way that it was being done, but I thought it could have been handled better. And it led to a drama moment on the show. So what happened was, I took over the mic. I just let the individual that called in, who I thought was being targeted, and I just said, look, here's the thing, y'all. Community is changing. We got one entity, we got one division that feels that they understand what the platform is. They're okay with the progression. They're okay with it. They're fine. There's another group that doesn't feel that same way. They don't have that same sense of optimism, and they're critiquing this and they're critiquing that. And it's okay for both units to exist. I spoke of in previous Patreon content and stuff like that, to where I may be 80% with the optimistic group, but 20% of me can feel some of the pessimistic stuff. You know what I mean? With that being said, I think the problem starts to manifest when people talk in absolutes. It's not having your opinion about the platform, but when people talk in absolutes of, hey, this is what's going to happen because you did this. And it's okay to predict stuff. People make predictions all the time. But we as a community and content creators got to understand the responsibility that we have. Like when we go out there as a community and we say things are absolutes about a platform that only we are on and the rest of the world or whoever may be interested is watching, they're taking what we're saying as golden because we have the experience. Oh, well, this must be happening. They must have some inside information. Bill the Stadia Cast had perfectly illustrated this in a prior open mic. I believe, or maybe it was a session of Stadia Cast that he had. So therefore, he had to forewarn, I don't have any inside information, or this is a guess of mine. See, that's why I think when Bill's breaking stuff down, he talks slow and he's deliberate. So he's not just going at hyper speed to just throwing a bunch of stuff at you and you're walking away from it like, oh, this man must have the key to the secret Stadia chamber. No, he's giving what he feels is educated guesses on things that are coming down the pike. When he staunch right on it like, hey, look, man, this thing is going to be fine. He's either illustrated right then and there or in previous shows why he feels that way. And so therefore, whether it's a segment that I disagree with or you disagree with, or segments that we agree with that come from that platform, I heavily respect what they do. And I feel that's the way you want to do it. But what we tend to see a lot is we tend to see people have emotions, and that emotion upsets them. And it's kind of like, because I'm upset, now I want you to feel the blunt of me being upset. Yeah, this is what's going on. Hey, look, you ain't get them groceries for me like I asked you. I asked you to get me a bag of Cheetos and Mountain Dew. Because you ain't get those groceries for me, you're going to fall off the curb and stub your toe. You know what I'm saying? Like, huh? What? It just, and you're going to fall off your curb. You're going to fall off the curb and stub your toe. Because I've seen that happen to somebody else. Like, we got to be careful as a community. I dare I say, and I'm not going after any one entity. I'm just saying broadly, and I've been saying this from day one before I met anybody in this community. My message has always been the same, because we try to pivot and be a beacon of the truth, is that you got to be careful of your message as content creators and even as community members, because people are watching. You got the unsuspecting gamer, and even when they're not directly watching, they are affected, because then you got your Richard review. And I love Rich. I'm not trying to target you, Rich. I love you. You know we love you. But Richard review text your mean cast boys and your Young Yays, even though Young Yay, I don't know if he's trying to have a change of heart, but he don't know how to do it right. I don't know what's going on. I think the homeboy, your boy Twiz, I think his very powerful video finally got to him. But with all that said, I think that we as a community got to be careful in the absolutes that we speak in. That we can speak in if the data doesn't show it. And I'm not talking about we caveat information, but if the data doesn't show it holistically, the only thing that we can say is, I don't like it, and the people that think like me aren't going to like it either. And if you can show what percentage of the population of the core demographic of who Stadia's target audience is, if they fit with you and y'all ain't going to like it, if you can show fathomably that percentage is 80-90%, then you can say, yeah. And then 80-90% of the community thinks like I do. They're not going to like this. And that could potentially cause problems. So hopefully they fix this. That's one thing. But when we overpurport who we are and how we fit into the target audience, or what the target audience is actually thinking to fit our narrative, that's a problem. Because Stadia's target audience is simply this: tech enthusiasts who recognize they're not going to get day and date stuff, but like the advent of the tech and they want to see it grow, and casual gamers who felt like they were detached from gaming because of the high entry price or the convenience. Now, there's a lot more of the latter than there is of the former. But what also happened is, because Stadia was talking at 10.7 teraflop talk, they've adapted a lot of hardcore gamers. A lot of hardcore gamers who could appreciate the tech and originally would have stayed on longer than the atypical hardcore gamer who don't care about tech. They just want games. Them people left early. There's like, this ain't the ticket, cuzzo, and they was gone. And I can respect that. This salute. But it was a lot of us that have a lot of the tech enthusiasts embroidered in us that stayed on a lot longer. But then what happened was the people that didn't overshoot the moon on the product and the people that could respect the tech, but overall was waiting for this platform to jump into the ring with PlayStation and Xbox immediately, we had a common foe. We had a common cause. That common foe and that common cause was the mainstream media and the people hating on the platform. So that kind of overshadowed what our differences were. But now that those entities are gone from the forefront, now we're dealt with what our staunch differences are. And there are those of us that don't overshoot the moon on the product, that respect it for what it is, and we can understand the slow long-term growth, and we understand that because the platform is in this for the long haul, and that all of these platforms are in it for the long haul, that we're really not going to see any of these cloud platforms at their apex until like 2023. So we feel that Stadia has time. And at 2023, when these platforms are at their apex and they can go and say, look, now officially we're starting to become a 1v1 match versus the dedicated devices, they'll start getting more traction. But even with that, analysts predict that we aren't going to start taking over. We're not even going to be taking over large swaths of the gaming community, even in 2025. That we're only going to represent 4 to 8% of the community, even in 2025. So overall, this is a long, slow burn. Right now, this is a battle for mindshare within the cloud gaming space, which is a niche space in the gaming community. We got to understand that. And what really is going to propel it is when Xbox or PlayStation flip the switch and say, okay, now we're going all in, or we're going half in on cloud gaming. That's what's going to flip the switch. Who will emerge from there? And that's still a few years to come. Xbox ain't even ready yet. They'll be ready in 2023. Hence why all of this Game Pass stuff, hence why they were letting you load it up till 2023. But see, y'all weren't following me on my other channel, so y'all didn't get that math. You ain't get that degree from me. When I was warning the Xbox community, don't be expecting nothing in 2020. I said, y'all got to be in the long haul for this till 2022, 2023. There's a reason why they let you pay $1 to load up your Game Pass till 2023. That's when they feel like their stuff is going to be popping. And now, even with the acquisition of Bethesda, the first 2 new Bethesda games that come out, they're exclusive to PlayStation. We don't know when Starpoint is coming out, so don't be saying this rumor 2020. Man, this is Bethesda we talking about. That's a whole nother video. How long did I let this video go? I hope this don't get. All right, we just gonna have to, because it ain't even. We're gonna have to remove that. So 2022, 2023 is when we are going to we're going to start to be able to expect that these cloud services can start increasing their mind share more significantly. So those of us that understand that old setup, we fit in the one group. There is another group that feel that Xbox and PlayStation are so big that if Stadia don't make its stance right now, they'll never be able to get in. That if Stadia isn't a clear winner because of all the negative press that they got, if they don't take that down immediately, that they're going to be lost in the sauce. There are those that have that fear. So they pivot from this point. And I'm not saying that one is right or one is wrong. I think if you put both in the proper perspective, in the proper bucket, they do apply. if you're looking at this in the long term, Stadia is just fine. They'll be okay. But if your news is centered around, or what is important to you is centered around the here and now, oh yeah, Stadia definitely isn't even in the discussion. If you're following current trends and current NPD and all this other stuff, oh yeah, Stadia's getting blown out of the water when it comes to PlayStation and Xbox. So it depends on what the litmus. But what we got to start doing, y'all, as community members and content creators, is we got to set the litmus right. We can't we can't be talking about the litmus with the hardcore and then use catalogs and tags that talk about casual gamers. Those litmuses don't apply. Hence why, when I said earlier that we got to check the tracking, the data, this whole controversy with Alex and what he said, and I don't want to get too much into that because my stance is I'm not highlighting dumb comments, salacious stuff here, unless the data proves otherwise, and the data wasn't proven otherwise, that we got to be careful when we talk in absolutes. Now, let me give you a prime example. My homie Chase came out here earlier today, and I caught a thread by him to where he did something very respectable and very honorable. He said, hey, look, guys, I thought that this would have a more long-term systemic threat to Stadia. It doesn't look that way. And that's very commendable. So what I'm about to say doesn't apply to Chase, because he came out there and he said, hey, look, I'm going to keep it jiggy with y'all. This is what I thought. This is what I see. I'm now changing my thought about this particular right here. Now, I will say this. Now, what I did do is I listened to the end of the show, because I'm going to be honest with y'all. I was a little upset. I was a little upset about the comment that was being made towards the original caller before Chase called in. So I was hot. And if you listen, you'll notice that for most of that conversation, I'm quiet until I chimed in. That's because I'm upset. And I'm trying to keep myself from being too upset and vocalizing that in our communication with Chase, because Chase had nothing to do with that. And also what I don't want to do is I don't want to discourage anybody else from calling in and speaking their truth. I just thought it was a little bit distasteful of how it happened, but I don't want I want everybody to speak their truth. And I see Chase in the chat right now. So I don't want nobody to think I'm doing this slick in a slick fashion. It's just, I hope I happened to listen to this last night. But this is where me and my brother Chase do disagree, where Chase said in the call, he said, hey, in the community, it doesn't matter if I'm right. It's not about who's right or who's wrong. I agree and disagree with that. And it's very important that I highlight this. And again, I'm not gearing this towards Chase, because Chase came out here. He explained what his position was, why he believed it, in a very well-documented thread. Go read it. I urge everybody to read it. And he said, hey, okay, I was on the wrong place. And he's not clinging to that sword. He's not dying on that hill. He had a thought process. It panned out differently. He's admitted it. He's moved on. I'm talking to the rest of the community that want to die on certain hills, because again, they may have a grievance or whatever the case may be. But what I do disagree with is it's not about who's right or who's wrong, because facts don't belong to anybody. Facts are to be shared with all. But it is about what's right and what's wrong on this platform. The reason why it's about what's right and what's wrong on this platform is because the purpose of this platform, again, is to keep the unsuspecting gamer informed. And it's one thing to where if you're like Chase, you're like, hey, look, made a mistake. It's occasional. We all make mistakes. We're going to pivot and move on. That's one thing. But it's another thing if you're one of these people that are out here that are like, yeah, it's bombastic, Mr. Fantastic, the stadium's going to blow up tomorrow. If you're out there singing reggae, making reggae death songs about Stadia, talking in absolutes, and when the dust settles, what you said is wrong, but you don't want to, you don't want to, I don't want to say admit, but you don't want to clarify and say, look, all right, maybe I was in the wrong direction about that. That's okay. If when something positive with Stadia happens, you're like, oh yeah, announcement, positive. But when something negative with Stadia happens, you want to bloviate on it forever and ever and ever. If you're one of those individuals within the community, it's a problem. Why is it a problem? It's not a problem necessarily for us, because we here are going to not go after the person, but go after the notions, so the unsuspecting gamer is clear. But at the end of the day, it's going to be a problem for you, because perception is 9/10 of the law. And if every time you say you're also echoing it's the end of Stadia, this is going to be great from Stadia, I don't know how Stadia is going to come back. If you keep saying that time after time, and every time the dust settles, it doesn't happen, you're going to become obscure. And some people may say, well, I don't care if I become obscure. And I've seen a lot of YouTubers, and I've seen a lot of people in my chats and in my panels that I've had on shows, or just simply be in the chat, say the same thing. Oh, I don't care. I don't care. I'm just saying what I got to say. But the moment that it does happen, they feel a certain way. So what I'm saying is not an absolute, like you got to listen to MM2K. What I'm saying is, for the sake of the voice, whatever it is, whether you're a community member that's out there on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, wherever you're at, you're a streamer, someone that just streams content and happens to give commentary while you're streaming game content, you're a YouTube creator like myself, or you write articles, whatever the case may be, perception is 9/10 of the law. And if you keep talking in these absolutes and time after time, what you're saying doesn't come to fruition, it is a reflection on you. So we got to understand that. And again, that's where I think it's not, I don't want to say necessarily I disagree with Chase, but I have a different take. It's not about who's right or who's wrong, because this truth don't belong to me. Like when I talk about the data, I didn't create this data. I got access to it. This doesn't belong to me. To me, it belongs to you, the community. So it's not about who's right or who's wrong, but it's about, for me, sorry about that. For me, it's about equipping the unsuspecting gamer on the most fathomable path possible. Hence why I had to be self-aware and pivot a lot of the criticisms that I had away and get more on what I feel is a fathomable plane. Why did I do that? Because I came out of that one connect feeling like, oh my gosh, this is going to be super horrible. And it ended up being super fantastic for the platform. And I couldn't understand why, but I had to realize that the mind state that I was in, the prism that I was in, was the wrong one. So I had to switch to the right one. Because if I want my product and the service that I'm trying to provide to the listener to be about getting them on the most fathomable plane, positive or not, then I got to be there. I got to understand it. So I had to change my understanding. So I wouldn't be one of those people that said, this connect will be bad. This event is going to be real bad for Stadia. I don't know how Stadia is going to get out of it. I wouldn't be one of those people that hit after hit after hit, I was off key. I was off mark. I was off keister. Because after several times, especially in this Twitter, YouTube, social media game, trust me, I've seen it. You keep having goose egg after goose egg, the credibility is shot. And that's not just for content creators, that's for you in the community too, making comments. There's plenty of people that love being in the middle of these discussions that people just started ignoring because they started saying stuff. They start getting goose egg after goose egg after goose egg, talking in absolutes. It's one thing if you say, hey, look, I have a problem seeing how they get out of this, or I have a problem seeing how they don't be successful with this. This is why I feel this way, instead of this is what's going to happen. I'm letting y'all know right now, this is exactly what's going to happen. See the two differences in the two? You can come from the same point, but just accent it in a more appropriate way. So that's that. All right. I didn't get a chance to get to the two tweets once again. We're going to get to them, y'all. I'm going to have to retitle this. We'll do them in another session, but I want to get to the chat, y'all, before I got to roll. Well, you know what? I'm going to get to the chat. So, the homie Christopher Torres says, the concept of the unsuspected gamer is huge, man. Good stuff. MM, that's your main goal, which is very important, to be honest. I appreciate that, man. Dr. Spaceman says it must be just ad revenues being split with the developer. We don't know yet, but streaming has such a strong asset to the industry. Something that I heard, who was it? Lloyd from Stadia? Lloyd said that what that doof said. I don't want to focus too much on it. I'll just say this. Lloyd put a great, I'll focus more on Lloyd than the doof. I hate to say that. And Stadia might be mad for me calling one of them. But again, he has a history of this. So this ain't the first time he says something strictly off the meter. But I'll say this, that what Lloyd said was the difference between music and TV is those aren't interactive mediums. Like once you hear the music or once you watch the show, that is the general means of, excuse me. Oh, sorry. Oh, excuse the pig. That's the general means of the consumption. So if whether I bought it or not, and I'm allowing you to have the general means of the consumption, and I'm just giving it to you without you paying for it, that's different because I'm distributing something without the general means to other people to indulge in the general means of the consumption without them having to pay for it too. Again, with the general means of consumption being listening or watching. That's what's going on with TV and music. With games, though, the general means of consumption is playing the damn game. As long as you're not playing the damn game, I'm not giving you the general means of consumption. Now, with that said, if I'm a streamer and I'm doing connect share that allows you to play the game and there's no legalities between Google and that publisher, a publisher might be upset. But trust me, Google is working on that. They're not dummies. But with all that being said, and as talented as that studio may have been, the biggest lesson for Google is maybe y'all need to revisit your social media policy. Maybe there was a reason MM2K, Chase, and others was telling y'all that. Because me, Chase, Eddie, we were on TSI. We was making the case that we get it. Y'all want to come off as the cool gamers, but this is a dog eat dog world in the world of gaming. And having such a lax social media presence like that with somebody who has a history, who has a very clear history of saying off the wall stuff, may not be the way to go. And I think Google learned that this weekend. So good for them. We'll just leave that at that. All right. Oh, Lloyd. Speaking of Lloyd, If I stream a game of the board game Monopoly, do I owe Parker Brothers some money? Yeah, Lloyd, you owe them. You owe them Connecticut Avenue and Boardwalk. I know it's just ridiculous. That's why I've taken up the position, Lloyd. I don't even want to highlight what he said here. It was so ridiculous. And again, I hate to be so crass about this, y'all, but it kind of reminds me again of Jeffrey Toobin, the guy from CNN who got caught exposing himself and doing some unparticulars. All right, I will just leave it at that. Now, yes, that got a lot of attention. A lot of people wanted to talk about it. Even OJ had to opine in it, and that became a big ballooned topic over the course of several days. But I'm not going to have a podcast here, or I'm not going to have a full-fledged discussion here over, can you believe that he did that? And he even turned sideways. Why? No, we're not going. That's salacious talk to me, because what was done is so stupid and idiotic, it doesn't even deserve attention. And when it comes to what Mr. Hutchinson said, it was so stupid, anti-core of what Stadia is about, that it doesn't even deserve attention. I get where people wanted to focus on what the long-term effects were, but all I suggest, I can't make nobody do anything with what they say on Twitter, their content, their streams, whatever. But all I suggest is, before we start talking in absolutes, follow the tracking, follow the data. And if we would have done that, we would have seen that this was festering more as far as eyes on it on Twitter. There were stories that were popping up, but it wasn't catching the attention that we thought it was catching. So there needs to be a line drawn as what could be considered restricted material for copyright, all other stuff. Well, yeah, absolutely. But I think it's more than evident, as Lloyd perfectly illustrated in Stadia Cast, which I was listening to this morning, hence why you guys didn't get any Patreon content. So blame Lloyd and Bill, but we'll fix that later today. But as it was perfectly illustrated there, the general consumption of this content is playing the game. That would be like me saying, you know what? I took the latest Kanye West album and I showed the cover of it online. And I plucked the cover while I was showing it online. Therefore, whoever Kanye signed to, his record label, you know, they're owed some royalty points or something like that. And your response to that would be, heck no, I couldn't hear any of the songs. But you saw the cover. That's good enough. No, the general way that content is consumed is through hearing it. If I didn't allow you to hear it, then the general means of consuming that content didn't occur. The general, what people are paying for with these games are to play them. So if I don't allow you to play it without the permission of said publisher or developer, then the general consumption ain't being violated. And hence why publishers and developers at mass, except for this guy, don't have a problem with it. So it's just silly on the surface. What else we got here? Stadia Talk. The homie Chase in the house. He says, we're all like meteorologists. We can be wrong sometimes in how we interpret data. We aren't robots, and we sometimes got to face the L when we are wrong. Humility is not something folks always use. That is absolutely true. And he says, I agree there, MM. That is absolutely true. I get that there's a lot of people that want more from this platform. They want it to be their all-encompassing way of playing games. I get it. That's what I want too. But it's not ready. We don't want something to... Can you imagine if they would have just if they would do full-fledged marketing the way that we want, open the floodgates to the platform, and the platform just crash? And then we ain't seeing those 30 or 60 frames per second anymore. We're seeing 5 because the platform isn't ready. And y'all are like, well, just get it ready. Don't get it ready when it's fathomable. The AI has to build up, the machine learning has to, there's a process to this. Hence why everybody is taking their time staggering things out. That's why xCloud is calling us what they're doing a beta, even though it's paid for as well. That's why Stadia at first had beta all through their web pages. Like Eddie Player One has showed us from his original days of This Week on Stadia. And then they removed it for marketing purposes, apparently. This stuff takes time, y'all. And when we do it too fast, when they move too fast, we lead to a situation like On Live that the plug was pulled from it. Or legacy PlayStation Now, where they were throwing it on TVs, but it just played so bad that they had to abandon that. These people doing this are just smarter now. So again, it's going to get there, but it's not there just yet, y'all. Just be patient. If y'all if y'all as that sector of the community want to judge this on how close it is to PlayStation or Xbox, that's fine. Have whatever discussions y'all want. But again, before you speak in absolutes of, is this thing doomed altogether? You got to pace yourself. Because again, perception is going to be 9/10 of the law. You don't want to get into a Chicken Little scenario where it's goose egg after nobody's just paying you any attention. Albeit what you do in this community. And in addition to that, you can fathomably say, well, for the hardcore gamers, it ain't flying yet. I have long-term hopes for this platform, and I know it's going to excel. And even though I said don't talk in absolutes, I'm bending my own rules. I know it's going to excel as far as what I'll say this. I know it's going to excel in what it's going to be able to do. I'll say that at the very least. I know it's going to excel just from what I've seen. I know it's going to excel at least in what it's going to be able to do. Now, as far as saturation, that's a different story. I can't talk there. With that being said, I can have that belief and still bring on my homie Noah, who I disagree with fundamentally in a lot of places, and say, but say, listen to Noah. And Noah tells you, hey, look, man, we got these 3080s, 3090s coming, PlayStation 5s and Xbox Series X's. The general gaming consumption, no matter what Stadia does, unless it brings all them games day and date and they show explicitly how it plays better, everything plays. There's nothing they can do to grab our attention right now. We are too embedded in this. And Stadia knows that. But if you want to have those conversations, go ahead and have them. Just have them in the right litmus and the right prism. Do not associate what's going on with the hardcore, the core gamer, with the casual gamer. Those are two totally different sets of eyeballs, expectations, likes and dislikes, all that stuff. Three different markets, really. Said, I find it interesting that he hasn't tweeted since the brouhaha. Absolutely. Hey, Lloyd, I don't know what your social media policy is where you work. But mine's here says I wouldn't be there anymore. It's as simple as that. And I shouldn't laugh at that because I got to be honest. I've had to terminate people. We've had to terminate people, rather. I should say that to make sure I don't get myself in trouble. We've had to terminate people because of that social media policy. And Lloyd says, so my Game Pass Ultimate expires in mid-22. My Xbox All Series X will come more than 2 years. 8 Glitch says, ISPs are killing cloud gaming. Stadia Talk says, is not going to compete. Stadia is not going to compete with Sony and Microsoft right now. Christopher Torres says, very true at Flame Fist. What I'm saying is cloud gaming saves the cost for those type of folks is what I'm saying. Absolutely. And shout out to Lloyd. Lloyd, I be in my zone and I deeply apologize for missing all you guys shouting me out Charles Moran says Duncan and the guys at Cloudy have a good prediction when they gave their pro game predictions. What if the 1 year anniversary they do it for 1 month instead of 1 day? What I'm missing that. Says Duncan and the guys at Cloudy have a good prediction when they gave their pro game predictions. What if in the 1 year anniversary they do it for 1 month instead of 1 day? I'm not sure what you mean by that, Charles. If you could follow up on that one. But yeah, y'all tearing it up, man. Let me go to some more. Hey, the homie Victor's in the house. Yep, I totally agree. I don't want him fired, but because I don't want him fired, Lloyd, because it's Stadia's fault. Stadia messed up. I mean, not Stadia, Google. Google got some of the most lax policies because they want to be cool. They want to be cool. Have you ever been to a Google facility? I have. I'll just say they want to be cool. That's all I'm going to say. They want to be cool. Dr. Spaceman says, got to go see y'all. Absolutely. Hey, thank you, Chase. I really appreciate it. He says, I want to clarify, though. He says, I personally have never thought Stadia would ever be at a Sony or Microsoft level. Personally, my use case, Stadia has been fine. Absolutely. Like I said, that wasn't for you, Chase. You came out here this morning. You said, hey, look, man, I had the wrong percent. But there's people that want to, not just this, but they want to die on hills. And then they've said some of the most staunchest, most absolutist things. And then when it came out that it wasn't right, they didn't acknowledge it and moved on to the next most bloviating, over-the-top thing. I get where people were concerned about this and may have said, oh, man, this ain't going to look good. Because I was there. I was there with that connect. But when I was wrong, I came out and I said it. Chase did the same thing. That's not for Chase or those of us that will do that. We'll acknowledge that okay, maybe we were on the wrong lane. Let's pivot. This is for those that just come hit after hit after hit with the bloviating and the stuff doesn't follow through. That's a reflection on y'all. You can't be mad at us when we call it out. It's a reflection on y'all. But when we do call it out, community, please be respectful about it. There's nothing wrong with fact checking. There's nothing wrong with that. Keeping each other honest. There's nothing wrong with that. If you want to come on social media and put something out there for the public and open it up for them to respond to, you can't be upset with fact checking. What I am saying, though, is that in the fact checking, let's not demonize people. Let's not go too far with it. All right. With that said, y'all, I gotta go. I'm ultra late. Had so much fun. Again, I'm sorry we didn't go over the 2 tweets. Just follow me on Twitter. I'm very disappointed in Brad Sams. I'll go over that in some other time, maybe in the stream. I'm very disappointed in Brad Sams. And I think Daniel Ahmad is off on something, but that's okay. That's an opinion-based thing. I think he's kind of siloed on cloud gaming, but I'm really disappointed in Brad Sams. Go follow me on Twitter because of that. I think Brad Sams knows better. And he can prefer xCloud, and that's great, and that's fine, and make a case why xCloud is better for him. But the way that he's doing it, I think he's better than that. I think that the Thurrott Institute, I believe that's what the Paul Thurrott group, I think they're better than that. And I just don't think this was one of their best days with that tweet. With that said, I hope y'all appreciate this. We'll be back. I think I'm going to do a game stream on a new channel. Check out the new channel, y'all. Please check it out. Here it goes right here. Leave it in the chat. I got to go pick up the wife before she kills me. And like I said before, this becomes Stadia Dead session. With that said, y'all have a wonderful gaming day. Love y'all. Peace.